Right. I could have sworn I got you to read some Shinkansen article, but I thought I left a link in one of these lesson sheets, but I can't see it, so I must have.
Well, what you didn't get me to do that. What you put some sentences for me to translate in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
word list. Not the
yeah,
word list
yeah.
in the.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. I know that stuff's in there. That's fine. I just I don't know what I did with this link. It's all right. Anyway, it's not important. So how about we'll start with the sentences then. I know I definitely
Yeah, I got.
mentioned
I
it.
think
I must just not have
put the
pasted
link
the
in.
link. Anyway, all right. So what do we got here?
Uh, this river swimming is no good.
Yep. Okay, so basically you can't swim in the river. Kono kawa de oyoide wa ikemasen. Nice. How about this guy?
Uh, Tomorrow at 5 a.m. If I don't get up, it's no good.
Yep. Yep. So basically, when we start hearing this oki nakereba, when we hear that negative conditional, you want to either use must or have to. Just generally makes it easier.
Yeah,
So yeah, you must wake up at 5. Now I want to point out it doesn't actually say 5 a.m. here, but yeah, of course, it probably is
I
5. Probably is
I would
5
assume.
a.m. Yeah.
I would assume if you're struggling to get up at 5 p.m., some things are going on.
Yep. Oh, you've got some crazy night shift job.
Oh
All
yeah.
right. What else we got?
Uh, this company Japanese language. If you don't speak, it's no good.
So basically, you must speak. Okay, because again,
Yeah,
we've
you
got
must
this
speak. Yeah,
nakereba. So yeah, you
yeah.
must speak in Japanese at
Otherwise,
this.
it's no good.
Yeah, at this exactly at this company. All right, so kono kaisha dewa. So we're using the de to kind of say at this company, and then wa because we're kind of making it the topic, right? So basically, it's a rule, right? As for this being in this company or during the time you're at this company, Nihongo de hanasenakereba ikemasen. All right, and this would probably more likely be narimasen, but who cares? Um, all right, two more. What do we got?
Uh, Here, running is no good.
So might say this around a pool or something. Right. No running here. ここで走ってはいけません.
Like somewhere like an airport or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Last one.
Now this one, I didn't quite uh, I didn't quite be I wasn't quite able to translate it. I
Yep,
tried a couple times, but I couldn't really get it
that's all
because
right.
it's
Is it the word
it was,
iwake?
no, that's excuse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what that middle bit to the end bit what that was trying to say, so I wasn't quite like because shite wa ikana. It's like I'm not quite sure because I found a couple of different things for shite. I wasn't exactly sure what it was trying to say.
Okay. Well, shite. This is our it's our te form of suru.
Yeah,
All right. So it's to do. So basically, don't make excuses.
yeah,
言い訳をしてはいけない. Alright, so I did this question with someone else, with a sentence with someone else, and I made up a little dialogue around it, so we'll see how this goes. So, just to kind of give you an idea of the context that this kind of sentence would come up in. So, imagine we've got two people, alright? We've got A-san and B-san, okay? Pretty imaginative. So, A-san, you can just imagine that's yourself, and then we have B-san, who is our boss. All right, now you can just say boss if you want. In my old job, I used to call my boss chief, like chief, and
yeah.
obviously you can say shacho, which is basically like a CEO or like the head of a company. Yep, but in this instance, I would probably use this word, joshi. Wait, give me a sec. Joshi だね.
Like a manager.
Yeah, it just means a superior. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Joshi. All right, this is just a boss. So it doesn't mean the head honcho necessarily, but a boss. Okay, so this is B-san wa Joshi desu ne. Okay. So B-san comes up to you and he says, 仕事終わりましたか? So what's he said
Yeah.
here?
Um, have you finished your work?
Yeah, have you done the work? Yeah. And then yes, of course you will go, yeah. And then the boss might say, どうして終わってないの?
Ikan desu.
Not quite. What did I say? どうして
Yeah.
終わってないんですか?
Why haven't you finished it?
Yep.
Why haven't you finished it?
Yep. And then when you come up with something, you go, 時間がなかったんです. 時間がなかったんです. Oops, what would this be?
The past form of there's like no time.
Yep. So 時間. Oops. Okay. 時間がなかったんです. Alright, and this is really our no. Alright.
No.
Nope, so it's an explanation, right? 時間がなかったんです, right? But because it's colloquial, it's more likely to be eaten. Okay, it's basically, I had no time. Alright, and then the joshi would say, 言い訳をしてはいけない. Alright, no excuses. So the boss probably knows something. It's like, I saw you slacking off. Alright. It's not really going to fit all in there. Let's do it like that. Okay. Wait, where'd that go? There we go. All right. Okay, so what did next mark this? So this is our new homework. All right. So just now we got some Temo E type 1. So there's 3. No, 4. Okay, no, 3. Yeah, 4. It's kind of confusing with the vocab right underneath it. All right, so let's have a go at those. All right. Okay, good stuff. So how you finding those permission things? I know it's kind of like a sanitized version where you just have the sentence and you kind of know what the grammar is and all that. But how are you finding that?
I understood it well enough. Yeah, I didn't really have too much problem like getting the meaning of most of the sentences. That last one, because when I was like trying to work it out, I thought it was the past form of, oh no, the te form of suru, but I also found another shite, which was like a group, something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was a couple days ago.
Okay.
And I was confused by it
Yeah.
because it was shite and it was like by means of a group or something like that. And I was just like, with excuse, I'm like, are they trying to like talking about like some kind of group excuse or something? I just didn't.
Fair enough.
Confused myself.
Trying to think what that even would be. Yeah, doer, performer. Okay. Yeah, you don't need to know that word.
Yeah, I was just
Sounds...
when I.
Oh, I see. Indicating by means of an action.
Yeah.
There. I see. No, it's probably this one. Oh, you can't really see that, but it's that one there probably.
Yeah, that would have been the one. It was like when I saw that, it's like I was like really confused by what the question was asking.
Yeah. So if truly, it's actually this. I can't see it. Let me just. What happens if I get rid of that? No, I still can't see it.
Did you drop it in the word list?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I wanted to click on it and show it to you. Just give me a sec. What is this document? This is the Google Doc. There we go. So yeah, it's actually this third one. Oh, still can't see it. It's this third one. All right. So we see shite, etc. See this, and this is the kanji for suru. Okay.
Yeah.
So you never actually use the kanji for this, by the way, but it has a kanji. All right. So we see to cause, to make, to become, to do, whatever. There we go. Sorry, to carry out, to perform. So yeah, not it's Japanese dictionaries. I mean, this one in particular, it just has everything in there. So it's can be hard sometimes to find exactly what it is that you want sometimes, for sure. All right. Okay. So let's go to our grammar guide. All right. So actually, let's go back to that. All right. So we kind of looked at a whole bunch of, that's kind of weird looking. A whole bunch of desire and suggestion things. And out of these, really, I would say the type form is our most important. And it, like I kind of showed you last week, it's can throw a few things up because even though it's a verb conjugation, it ends up all the actual conjugations are the e adjectives. So this can, I tried to show this a little bit last week, but it can get quite convoluted and tricky, and especially when you're hearing someone say it to you. So it can take a bit of practice to get used to, but really you just want to kind of get used to hearing the takunai, ikitai, ikitakatta, ikitakunakatta, and you just kind of get used to hearing that last part of the word and then don't think about it, and then you kind of go, okay, but then what was the verb at the front? So okay, that I know that was the past of some e adjective or whatever, and then you kind of put the verb part on next, but it's not the most natural thing to get used to. Also, this word hoshi. Okay. And so now we're up to this one. So making a motion to do something using the volitional form. So kind of a convoluted headline for sure. But really what we're doing is we're going to be using the volitional form, all right? Now, we've looked at this in the must form. This is our masho thing. So ikimasho, tabemasho. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Yep. And so now we're looking at the casual form of this, all right? So the first thing is we're going to look at the rules, so don't worry about that. But we're going to use this. And then the reason you use it in the casual form is because, making a motion to do something, it's like you're expressing like, hey, I'm about to do this, I'm going to do this. So it's like a way to express your thoughts, okay? So it's very, very useful. I would say it's a little bit advanced. Normally, I'm kind of teaching this to my year 12 students, for example, and they are kind of struggling with it. And it's like kind of, I would kind of say it's extra credit grammar. So it's officially part of the year 12 syllabus, for example, but it's very rarely going to come up. So if you can use it correctly, particularly in your oral or whatever, it'll get you like a few extra marks that are, in any event, it'll impress the examiners enough that you probably get some extra marks, but it's going to come up kind of rarely, I would think. All right, but let's go through the vocab here. So what do we got?
I think the video is pausing a little bit.
Is it?
Yeah. Like it. Yeah, it's chopping along. I can see the word list, but it's not.
Oh, okay. What if I do it? Oops. Yeah, wait, what's going on there? Is that better?
I'm gonna jump out and come back in and see if that fixes it.
All right.
Along.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really, it doesn't look, it looks fine on my end, but obviously it's got to be a bit biased. I can't really tell if things are super bad on my end, but the Google Hangouts looks okay, but
Yeah, that's going. It's going along now. It should
really?
be fine.
Okay, awesome.
Because it was like paused and then it would jump a bit, but it's looking a bit better now.
Was the sound still fine?
The sound was still fine. It's just the video. It might have been a thing with my internet.
Interesting. All right. Speaking of which, I was having some issues with my internet where everything was fine, but it wouldn't like for some reason my this desktop I'm on wouldn't work. So like when I connect to the Wi-Fi, everything was fine. I'm like, what the hell is going on with this? Because I used to work in IT support, so I like in internet support in particular. So I did all the checks, and it's like the modem itself is connected, the Wi-Fi is working fine, but like I couldn't, you can log into the modem and change
Yeah.
settings and stuff. That wasn't working, like, or it was super slow. I'm like, okay, this doesn't make sense. I'm on Ethernet. It should just be like lightning fast. And I was like, so then I took my modem over to my friend's house and used a different Ethernet cable, and it logged in fine. So I'm like, okay, so it's not the Ethernet cable, it's not the modem, it's my computer. Like something's going on with my computer. And I was just on ADSL with this computer, so it's like it was fine. Finally, updated the motherboard drivers for the Ethernet, even though they were pretty much up to date, and now it's working. So it's like, come on, man. Have to update the Ethernet drivers for a computer to get it to work on the internet. I don't know about that. Anyway, it seemingly has worked, so whatever. I'm not going to complain, I guess. Anyway, let's do this vocab. What do we got?
食べる、入る、着る、信じる、
Mm-hmm.
寝る、
Mm-hmm.
起きる、
Okido, yep. So on the green.
出る、
Mm-hmm.
かける、
Yeah, so obviously not the most useful verb, but this can also mean to bet, like to bet money. And I never knew what to hang meant, but I knew how to say to bet. So it's kind of a dual usage. But anyway, I mean, it's kind of useful. You could say like hang a towel or hang out the washing or something, but it's not really that useful of a verb. Anyway.
捨てる、調べる、
Mm-hmm. 調べる.
話す、
Mm-hmm.
書く、待つ、飲む、取る、
Oops.
聞く、泳ぐ、遊ぶ、
Mm-hmm.
治る、
Naoru. Yep, to fix something.
治る、
Mm-hmm.
死ね、死ね、
Yeah, there you go. Shinu. Yeah.
顔、
Uh-huh. So,
する、
yeah, anyway, it's a suru.
来る、
Mm-hmm.
今日、何、犬、パ
Yeah, so we've got to be a bit more Japanese with that because we got no TH, right? Tema.
ーク、テ
Tema.
ーマ、
Park.
テーマ、パーク、テ
Mhm.
ーマ、
Yeah, this
iku.
is definitely one of the most butcherized words in katakana. Anyway. Yeah, iku. Yeah, we know all these anyway. All right.
明日、カレー、
Kare, nice. Okay, so yeah, so volitional here we're talking about a will. Okay, so this is why it's talking about thoughts. It's like you're willing to do something. So someone is setting out to do something, basically let's or shall we, because we saw with the volitional form, with the must form of it, that's what we ended up saying it meant anyway. Yeah, we'll do that next bit later on. Okay, so it's a verb conjugation. So again, we're kind of going to our ru verb, u verb distinction. And again, the ru verbs are kind of easier, and the u verbs need a little bit more massaging, as it were. Let me just get rid of that word list, actually. Okay, so for our ru verbs, we just remove the ru, like always, and then we add your, okay? So taberu, tabe, plus your, tabe your, okay? So this is the same for every ru verb. And then our u verbs, a little bit trickier. We replace that u vowel sound now with the or vowel sound. So I think now we've done every one, right? Because we've done e for our verb stem. U obviously is what the verbs are. A for our negatives. E for our potentials. And now we've finally done or for our volitional, okay? So we've used every single hiragana along the row for a different conjugation. Okay, and then we add u to the end of it. Okay, so here we've got hairu, hairo, because root of ro, and then we add u, hairo. So this might sound a little bit like that imperative form. We haven't really looked at the imperative form, but like to order someone, you'll often get this ro sound when you do the ordering, but this is different from that. Okay, so pretty simple with the ru verbs, right? I know this kanji here, so I'll just quickly go through this, but tabeyo, kiyo, shinjiyo, neo, okiyo, and like some of these are much more common than the other ones. So for example, tabeyo, you hear a lot. All right, let's eat. Kiyo, like let's wear something. It doesn't really make sense, but this is more useful when you say, oh, I'm thinking about wearing blah. Neo, this is a really common one. Let's sleep. Let's go to bed. You hear this parents talking to their kids. Otherwise, most of these are not very useful. And then this is where we actually have to do a bit more thinking. So hanasu, hanaso, kiku, kiko, oyogu, oyogo. So it's not that hard, but I mean, by now I think you've got enough practice with this. It's just remembering that it goes to the o sound. Naoro, yeah, shino, like something you're never going to hear at all. All right. And our exception ones, not really that surprising, I guess. Suru goes to shi again. We see that quite commonly, like we saw shite earlier. But shio, let's do it, again, very, very, very common. And then kuru goes to ko, again, not that surprising. Koyo. All right, you don't actually hear that one too often, surprisingly enough. You hear iko a lot, let's go, but koyo, let's come, doesn't really make sense. Okay. So again, he points out the shino, let's die one, for example. We're never going to do it, but it's just for completeness, just so you know. All right, but let's put this word list back on. All right. Wait, where are these words? Okay, there we go. Amen. All right. So what do we got?
Kyo wa nani o shioka?
Okay, so this is a great sentence to remember because you're going to hear it a lot. All right. Kyo wa nani o shioka? All right. So what shall we do today? So again, we've kind of looked at this before. It's kind of like kyo wa nani o shimashou ka? Okay. It's very very common sentence, but of course this just means we're talking with friends or something. All right, next one. This is kind of the response, I guess.
Tema mupaku ni iko.
Yep, this is a ma, right? So tema paku. Yeah, so ma and mu look very similar.
I think it's more that it should be mu.
Yeah. But mu looks like this. It's like kind of like a rotated ma, I guess. Tema park. But yeah, it's definitely a weird word. It's kind of jarring, like when you hear it, like tema parku. Yeah. There is a Japanese word for this, which is yuenchi. All right, yuenchi. Sorry, my handwriting's terrible, but yuenchi. I'm not sure if there's a big difference between the two, but a yuenchi in my mind is like a non-franchise one as well. So like Tema Parku is like definitely Disneyland in Chiba or USJ in Osaka, Universal Studios Japan. Like those are in my mind Tema Parku, whereas a UNG can just be, there's quite a few obviously UNGs all throughout Japan, which are not necessarily theme parks, but they're used pretty interchangeably. Okay, what do we got here? Number 3.
Ashita wa nani o tabeyo ka?
Nice. Ashita wa nani o tabeyo ka? Okay, so we can see it's again on this theme of planning stuff, right? It allows you to ask a question about the future in order to do a plan. And again, the response.
Kare o tabeyo.
Kare o tabeyo. All right, let's see curry. Okay, so again, pretty much because we're dealing with plans for the future, it doesn't really make sense to have it in the past. So yeah. All right. So now we're just gonna look at the masho thing. Like I've already mentioned this, so really, I mean, you can do it. You can think of it two ways. I don't think about it this way of adding masho to the stem. I just first make it into the mas form and then replace the mas with masho, whatever really works. Again, shimasho. Okay, shimasho. If you want to think about it that way, kimasho. All right, we see whenever kuru goes into the mas form, it pretty much always goes to ki. Yeah, ikimasho, wasabimasho. I mean, not much is happening here. It's just a revision of your verb stem. How quickly can you make it? So these are all the exact same instances. Okay. Now, the last little thing is we've got a bit of a set phrase. Wait, I was like, where's the headline going? So we've got a bit of a set phrase where we can use our ba or tara conditional. You know, really there's not much difference between these two. They're just setting up. Oops. They're just setting up conditionals. So we make the conditional first and then we add do. So again, it's a way to kind of, you know, politely suggest, hey, how about X? And then the person's you're not really imposing on the person, right? You can just kind of put it up there as a suggestion and they can be like, sore wa chotto, or something like that, okay? But really we're saying this, if you do X, how is it? Or how do you feel about it? How about doing X though is kind of how we would actually say it in English, okay? And yeah, there's nothing really new here. It's just a commonly used set phrase, so it's worth getting used to. So where's ginko? Did I even copy those words? I got a feeling I didn't copy those somehow. Anyway, can't see them in here. Anyway, we haven't got many words though, so yeah, ginko, iku, yeah. Anyway, so what do we got?
Itara do desu ka?
Ginko ni ittara do desu ka? Yep. Okay, and then you can basically just treat this as a question, right? So you can go, so desu ne, you know, ikimashou, you know, so desu ne, ikou, something like that. Otherwise you can say, ammari ginko ni wa ikitaku nai desu, something like that. All right, so it's really just a yes or no, or you can say I want to go or I don't want to go. Next one. Oops.
Tamani ni go.
Yeah, so tamani is a word. So tamani, and then we got this one.
Go.
And then it's up here.
Go. Yoshin to hana sebato.
Yep, nice. Tamani goryoshin to hanaseba do. All right, so we see tamani means tamani, so it means once in a while. Yeah, and ryoshin, okay, parents, and goryoshin, obviously we're talking about someone else's parents. Okay, we're being polite. So goryoshin to hanaseba. So as for speaking with your parents, if you spoke with your parents, do. Okay, so obviously this person isn't speaking to their parents enough that their friends have noticed and say, hey, you know, maybe you should try to speak to your parents every once in a while. Okay, so it's just a set phrase here. I don't think there's anything super mind-blowing here. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Seems all right. Yeah, it's just very, very commonly used, so it's good to be aware of it. Okay. All right. So this next section, we're going to be looking at to, and then this is the casual version of to, which is a little tsu and a te. Okay, and he mentions this a bit later, but it's like, come on, you've already got one hiragana, and then you're just gonna basically change it to two, even though I guess you don't voice the first one. But yeah, this is the the te is a casual version of to. So I mean, again, from this headline, it doesn't seem that interesting. Performing an action on a relative clause. So remember, relative clause is our little mini sentence. But this is a super, super important part of Japanese, and it's used a lot because it allows us to, where is it, quoted phrase. Okay, so when someone says something and you want to report what someone said, like a direct quote or a paraphrase, you use to. And again, different from the other two versions of to we've already looked at. So our and, the to particle, and the to conditional, which we just looked at a few lessons ago. So again, completely different. So he said, she said, but there's a lot more. So you've probably come across it with think. So you can say, watashi wa so, それがいいと思います. So basically, I think blah 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 blah. So we have と思います, and the と, I used to, I don't know if Take Him kind of goes down this road as well, but the と, let me just go down here. So okay, it's actually got brackets here, which helps, but we can see we've got the と, and then whatever is before the と, like this, we can see we've got our Japanese brackets on either side. All right, so that's what the to does. It's like whatever's come before the to is the quoted phrase. That's what it enables you to do with to. So super, super important. And when you do a thought, it's like the same thing. It's like you put your thought in quotes and you go, I think, blah, this stuff. All right, so I think, I heard, so it's very, very useful. Okay, so the first one, this is the direct quote, okay? Maybe this is a new word for us, actually. Sakebu. I think we've had that one before. Sakebu. All right, this is to scream, yeah. I was going to say to yell, but it's not quite to yell. It definitely means to scream. Let me just see if I got all this in a word list. Yes, I do. Okay, good. All right, what else we got? Sorry, the scrolling with this is weird now. It's like jumping pages for some reason. Anyway.
Yobu.
Yeah.
Tsubuyaku.
Yeah, not the most useful of words, but tsubuyaku. All right, tsubuyaku. Tsubayuta. Right, just to kind of talk under your breath.
Sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
Kyo. Jugyo.
Jugyo. Yeah, not an easy one. Jugyo. All right. And what else?
Sensei.
Mm-hmm.
Tanaka.
Nice. Okay, so we'll start from the simplest. This is actually kind of not how Take Him likes to do things. Normally he likes to start from the hardest and go easier, but anyway, we'll start from the easiest this time, which is our direct quote. So you've heard something that someone has said, and then you're doing your best either to say exactly what they said or at least paraphrase it pretty closely. So it's kind of the opposite in Japanese. The quote comes first, then we put the to show that it was a quote, and then you put in the appropriate verbs, so said, whatever the case may be. I heard it, blah, 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 blah. So, iu is going to be our main one because iu is to say something. All right, so to iu, to ita. And kiku, which is I heard it. All right, but we can have lots. So particularly in novels and things, they're going to try and change this up a lot. So, he screamed it, or he basically yelled it. He muttered it, okay? So, yeah, dialogue and that kind of stuff. All right. So, let's bring this up. All right. Actually, that'll do it there. Okay, so what do we got here?
Arisu ga samui to ita.
Nice. All right. Arisu ga, so kind of saying, hey, ga. She is the kind of the thing that samui to ita. All right, so just quoting that Alice said cold. Next one.
今日は授業がない ko sensei kara. No. Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
sensei kara. Um,
This is number 2.
to, sensei kara ki, kitan da keto.
Nice. Yep. 今日は授業がないと先生から聞いたんだけど. Alright, so there's a lot going on in this sentence, but this is what the sensei actually said, right? 今日は授業がない. Okay? と, so telling, it's a quote. 先生から, so from the teacher. 聞いた, so I heard it, right? 聞く, and then there's that nasty te form, ta form table, right? Any verb that ends in ku goes to ita or ite, but kita. And then n is our contraction of no, our explanatory statement. And then we have to add da after the noun, because n is basically a noun, and da kedo. So 今日は授業がないと先生から聞いたんだけど. So you might go, well, what is this explanatory this no even saying? Well, this has, again, this sentence isn't just existing in a vacuum, all right? So, maybe
You're explaining to someone that the teacher said there's no class.
Yeah, and specifically, you're emphasizing that you heard from the teacher, okay? So this isn't just some thought that you've had. You're like, hey, well, I heard it from the teacher that we have no class today. So then the implication is like, so therefore there's not going to be class. It's like, this is different if like the class prankster or something mentions this. But if you're saying, hey, no, the sensei, the kind of final authority says it, then we know. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I don't want to jump into this too quickly, but it's not really that surprising that because we don't really care about Japanese word order that much, as long as the verb that applies to this relative clause, so the quoted part, comes before any other verb, then we can put whatever we want in the middle. All right, so Jennifer got this one.
Samui to Alice ga
Yeah, Tanaka.
Tanaka ni ita.
Yep. Okay, Samui to Arius ga Tanaka ni ita. I mean, this is a bit wacko. I mean, you couldn't say it like this, but normally it would be like the first one we saw. It's not wrong, but I mean, I wouldn't say it like this. I don't think anyway.
Not the most correct.
Yeah, it's still perfectly fine, but this definitely smacks of someone saying this, and they're like Samui to, Arisu ga Tanaka ni itta. All right, and then it's kind of like you're not really thinking about what you're saying before you say it. Okay, so that's that. So yeah, like I said, it's maybe I don't know if you've kind of come across this usage of to before, but super important, and it's one of these things I think you'll find that once you know about this, like especially in those NHK Easy articles, they're always interviewing people, right? Go, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what happened? Did you see something? And then they'll have a direct quote from the person with these Japanese square brackets, and then it'll say, to itta. It'll actually, I noticed in NHK Easy, it'll often say to hanashita. Okay, so it's basically like, okay, this person like regaled their whatever they saw, and then the newspaper has just snipped a little bit, all right? And so when you say to hanashita, it's like, well, this isn't the only thing they said. They said a whole bunch of other stuff, but because we're a newspaper, we have to, save column space, basically. All right, so yeah?
I have heard this before, actually, in Japanese movies and stuff like that, when someone's quoting someone else.
Yep, that's
Usually
right. Yeah, and he gets to the casual thing later, yeah, so and that's the other thing. The casual thing is it's easy to miss because people say it very quickly, and they often will drop the verb part. They'll just say the quoting blah blah blah. Like that. That's it. It's there. You'll be very quick. You're like, oh, what? I heard that in there. So yeah, that's one thing to keep an eye out for. All right, interpreted quotes. So we've seen all these words before. Yeah. All right. Okay, so now we're kind of doing a more of a paraphrase. Okay, so we're not saying it, we're not reporting exactly what they said, just kind of the gist of it. Technically, you don't need to put the square brackets in there. Thoughts count as this interpreted quote as well. But yeah, we're going to be using omo a lot, and also this one, kangaeru. You can just see it up here, kangaeru, which is to think or to consider something as well. Okay, so we're seeing there's a little bit of a difference with. Sorry, I cut that off. By the way. Again, yeah, you hear Japanese people use this all the time. Okay, because the fact is that it's kind of hard to remember exactly what people said, even if you're a native speaker. It's hard to remember, but you can remember what they meant, or at least your interpretation of what they meant, so that you can convey this pretty easily. But yeah, so what do we got here?
先生から今日は授業がないと聞いたんだけど。
先生から授業は今日は授業がないと聞いたんだけど。Alright, so yeah, I mean, the word order is kind of important here as well, but yeah, there's less of an emphasis on a direct quote in this bit. Alright, next one.
これは日本語で何と
This would probably be none.
何と
Yeah.
言いますか
Yeah. So remember the kind of general rule with this kanji is that unless there's des or deska following it, it's pretty much always going to be none. All right, nan to imasu ka? Yeah, but this kanji is not easy. All right, now this is a very important phrase to remember. Okay, because it allows you to it allows you to ask a Japanese person what something is called in Japanese. So they won't try and answer in English or whatever, okay? They're just going to go, blah. This is it, right? And you, all right, I don't know, can't think of a good example, right? But, you know, これ、日本語で何と言いますか? Pen desu. Pen to imasu. Okay, so really, really, really useful phrase to remember. I use this quite a lot because, like, for example, I know a lot of words, I just forget them now. So I just need people to prompt me and I go, これ、日本語で何と言いますか? Okay, it's just easier. It's just easier than having to say, hey, I forgot this word, what is it? Or, you know, what is this? Because the other thing that's useful about this is that because there are so many katakana words in Japanese, people will think they're helping you by telling you the katakana word. It's like, yeah, I know the katakana word, all right? It's the same as the English word. I want to know what's the kind of real Japanese word. So, I mean, katakana is part of Japanese, so, you know, if the katakana word is more appropriate, they probably will just say it, but most of the time, this will push Japanese people to say the non-katakana word. All right, last usage of this.
私はアリスと言います。
Nice. 私はアリスと言います. So this is a way you can, a very good way to introduce yourself, okay? If you say, you know, 私の名前はアシュレイです. Like, it's fine. It sounds a bit childish, though. Okay? This is the standard way to introduce yourself. And when you listen to Japanese people do this, they'll actually change it slightly and they'll use the humble form. Okay. And they'll say, this is more. Actually, can you even see that? No. Let's get rid of this. Okay, so you would say, 私はアシュレイと申します. Okay, 申します is just the humble form of 言います. And by the way, this is where moshi moshi comes from.
From the answer to the phone.
Yeah. Okay, because mosu is to speak. All right, so technically, you know, you say before, back in the olden days, you wouldn't, the person ringing wouldn't say, the person calling would only say moshi moshi. So when you answer the phone, you wouldn't say moshi moshi, but the person calling you would be moshi moshi, blah 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 blah. Okay, so that's where it comes from. It's not thought of like that anymore, but that's where it comes from. Mosu to say. All right, but you hear that a lot, right? Japanese people go, "Ah, Tanaka to moshimasu." Okay, you hear that all the time. And like when I was in Japan in January, I was with a Japanese guy for the whole trip basically, and he was introducing himself to Japanese people the whole time, and that's pretty much what he said every single time. Watashi wa Amagasu to moshimasu. Okay, so yeah, very, very good to recognize this, because this is, I always just want to say it like Japanese people say it, and this is how they say it. So yeah, it's better than saying watashi no namae, but if you can't remember this, watashi no namae, blah, 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 is fine. Okay, so yeah, we see that this you changes a bit, but again, these are set phrases, so both of these we wanna remember because they're very commonly said in Japanese. All right, just noticed that this this heading hasn't quite worked here. It's a bit too long, but anyway. So what do we got?
カレーを食べようと
Here we go. That's number 12. Yeah.
思った思うんだけど食べる時間がなかった。
Perfect. So, カレーを食べよう. Okay, so here is, obviously, to or mou is to think of something, and again, our ta form table, any verb that ends in u goes to a little tsu and then a ta. But we see that, we have our tabeyo, all right? So these two will often go together. Something, yo to omotta. So it's just a way of putting your internal thoughts inside your head out there. All right. So kare o tabeyo to omotta kedo. So basically, I kind of had the initial thought and I made the initial actions to think about eating curry. So for example, it's like you grabbed your wallet or whatever. All right. You kind of started on the first part of the journey, but then we see but 食べる時間がなかった Alright, so you grab the wallet, get the keys, you're just about to get, you're like, 時間がないね。まあ、今度行きます. Alright, so, you've had this thought and you started to do something, but then something's happened and you've changed your mind. So, again, this sentence, super, super useful, okay? And it's, again, one of these things I find I have to kind of go over a few times with my year 12 students, because it's like they know the individual parts of it, but when it all comes together in a sentence, it has this kind of very set meaning. So it's good to concentrate on it that way. All right, what do we got for number 2 here?
今どこに行こうかと
This is number 17.
考えている
Nice. Yep. And yeah, not easy. So this is where, again, this whole relative clause thing, it starts becoming tricky to see, like, how do you read these with the proper cadence? Because you're putting mini sentences inside larger sentences. So that's how I like to think of it. So you want to kind of go, well, the to, everything before the to is the clause. So that's kind of one little sentence. And then we've got another sentence here. So, 今どこに行こうかと 考えている。Right? 今どこに行こうかと考えている。So you'll notice that Japanese people will put a pause before and after that to, because it even tells Japanese people, hey, I just kind of either quoted someone or I'm telling a thought that I had in my head, and then after the to, it's going to be the verb, right? The important part, like I thought this, or I heard this, or someone said this. Okay, so Japanese people themselves will pause on either side of that to. Pardon me. So 今どこに行こうか. Now 行こうか, you know, it's like our indirect questions. Indirect questions. All right. So we get that clause when we put a ka to kind of go, you know, just to make it into a question really. 今どこに行こうか. So going to where? 考えてる. I'm considering it. Right, that's a lot of boxes. But yeah, again, this phrase, very, very common, where we have our little relative clause with the volitional form and then some kind of comment. So I'm thinking this. And again, it's just a way of going, hey, you know, inside my head, this is what's happening right now. All right. Now, this is the other kind of tricky thing, is that we have to deal with our da problem again, okay? So if the quoted relative clause at the end, it includes a noun or na adjective, we have to put a da in there, okay? So let me just do it this way. Wait, where'd it go? Yeah, there it is. So we'll compare these two sentences. Yeah, there we go. All right. So we got 彼はこれは何だと言いましたか? Okay. So as for him, これは何? Like this is what he's actually saying, right? Can you see why this causes problems for some people? All right. So this part here. This part, actually, technically this part. This is the bit he actually said. Okay, so he kind of goes like this. これは何? これは何? Okay, that's what he actually said. So 彼はこれは何だと言いましたか? So because nani, like this, what is a state of being, like what is this thing, then we have to say dato at the end of it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with this type of sentence. Give me my box. You're going to end up with this type of sentence. 何と言いますか? What is it called? これは何だと言いましたか? So, it's, I mean, I would just recommend you go back and look over this whole state of being thing. It's really early on in this grammar guide, but that's really what is going on here. And this one may be a little bit more accessible because we see it's talking about a core say. And so it's like, well, this is a state of being. You can't see that. It's a state of being. Right up here. It's a state of being. So dato. Core say dato. So I heard that he is a high school student, but 信じられない. I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. So yeah, this stuff, again, I think if you can do this consistently, you're a very advanced Japanese speaker. It's not easy to say a sentence and they go, hey, wait a minute, was that relative clause ending in a state of being for a noun? It's like, it's kind of hard to notice these things. The only reason I am able to do it is because when I say the sentence, it just doesn't sound right unless I put the da in there, because I've heard Japanese people say these sentences. Before I learned how to the grammar of these sentences, I heard Japanese people say them. So that's kind of the advantage of going on exchange, I guess. But anyway, this is a very minor point. You can definitely get by in Japanese without knowing this, but it's important to know that there is this difference. Okay, and now this is just like that blue sentence I just copy pasted. It's the same thing. Okay, but the da. If we put the da there, it's kind of quoting exactly what he said. What is this? Whereas this one is, what did he say? All right, and these are, we can tell even in English, these are drastically different sentences, but really it's the da is making a big difference in these. But again, it's a bit advanced. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Okay, we'll go through this quickly and then we'll just start from this bit. Okay, so we've got a casual version of to, which is our te. Yeah, and like I said, we can drop the rest of the sentence, so basically the verb. And yeah, it's funny. You do kind of hope your audience, but obviously Japanese people, they speak in such a way that it is easy enough to understand what you're doing here. So, Tomoko wa rainen kaigai ni iku n datte. Okay, so you don't have to say to iimashita. That's all just implied, because the fact is we've set up Tomoko as the as the subject, basically. Yeah, and so there are other things that could have happened, but the combination of these two, you're kind of like, well, it must be her that said this thing. Okay, and now this type of grammar is pretty much what this whole lesson is about, but it's like when you've said something before and then someone brings it up again, and you want to really emphasize, it's like, hey, I've already told you this, and so then you're adding basically a bit of frustration and stuff like that. But mo okane ga nai tte, mo okane ga nai tte. So I've already told you I've got no money. So they might have said it in a slightly different way, but they're saying, hey, I've already emphasized this point. Why aren't you listening to me, kind of thing. And this is again another phrase. So if you were going to say this politely, you could say, nan to iimashita ka? Nan to iimashita ka? But if we want to be really casual, nan datte. Nan datte. So you can't drop this da. You have to put it in there. All right, it's not going to work if you get rid of it. Nan datte. But again, it's just a good set phrase to remember. Yeah, I mean, really, I can't really add much to what he's got here. These are just good sentences to remember. So here, we'll see that the verb has actually been left in here. Okay, because what you're trying to say here is that you heard from someone else that you've got no time. And if you took this out, it would be kind of ambiguous, because if you just let the te in there, it's like, yeah, you're quoting someone, but the first person in the hierarchy of who you're going to quote is the person you're talking to. But that's not what actually happened in this situation. They heard it from someone else. So you have to make it explicit in that situation. That's, oh, I heard someone else. So someone else told me that you don't have any time. And then it's like, honto. So just looking for the confirmation. So you'll see it doesn't always get dropped if it's not super obvious from context. All right, and then if we do drop it, I mean, here it's not so bad, but it's you see that it's in brackets, right? We don't know how this person came across this information, and here I guess it doesn't really matter. All right, it's not important. The fact is they want to know if you have time or not. Who they heard it from or whatever is not important. All right, I think we should probably actually no, there's a last little bit here. So yeah, talk about practically anything. Really, it's just a way to bring something up. Okay, any kind of tangential thing that you've heard. So, ashita te. So basically, in regards to tomorrow, ame ga furu n datte. And then this guy is the actual quote that someone heard, and this is just about tomorrow. So you can still think of it as a quote if you want, like a really informal quote, but technically this is no one ever mentioned tomorrow really in that sense. And then here, okay, this is kind of, it's just referencing what other people have said, but it's just very general. It's like, Aris there. So in regards to Alice, I mean, you can actually, that's one way to think of it. It's really just wa. It's the casual version of wa. Aris wa sugoku ii hito desho. Aris te. Okay, but I guess the te is kind of saying, well, you've heard things from people, but knows like specific sources. But Aris te sugoku ii hito desho. I heard that she's a good person. So this is kind of the other usage of te, but I mean, I don't think it's really that important to like think of these usages of te differently. They're all just kind of indirect or informal quoting. So just kind of have a really broad conception of this in your head, and I think you'll be fine. All right. So we're going to basically continue on with this topic next lesson. We're going to expand a bit on the to iu. But for now, just, yeah, I would really have a read through of these sentences. And I think in these ones in particular, you want to repeat them to yourself quite a lot because you want to kind of implant some of these into your head because they're very common word orders that you're going to hear. So it's good if they kind of are sitting in your subconscious somewhere so that when someone says them, it'll kind of trigger you to remind you of these things. All right. Okay. Yeah, let's leave it there. So I heard the Eagles had a bit of a heartbreaker on the weekend or Friday. Or
Played
whatever.
so bad after
They
half
did?
time.
Oh, no.
Yeah, awful. He lost by 1 point as
Yeah,
well.
I
If
heard.
we played well, we probably would have won, but none of the results I wanted happened on the weekend.
All right. Did the Dockers
Like,
play as well?
yeah, the Dockers got smashed by like 35 points.
Oof.
Rubbish. But also, I wanted New Zealand to win in the cricket. I was going for
Oh,
the
that was
the away
insane.
team. Yeah, I was
That
going
was
for
an
the away
insane game.
team. Yeah, didn't work out. And then also with the tennis, I was hoping Roger Federer would win, but Djokovic won. So
Yeah, I was going to watch that. I didn't end up doing it, but I watched the semi-final Djokovic had versus that guy, a Spanish guy. I can't remember his name, but he didn't look very good in that semi-final. He turned it on in the end and closed it out pretty nicely, but he was not playing well in the first half or so. So, but yeah, he's pretty good. He's just, I mean, how old's Federer now? Federer's like 38 or something.
yeah, I think he's turning 38.
I mean, it's amazing he can still even get to a Wimbledon final at that
Yeah, well,
age.
he's still one of the best in the world, which speaks volumes of how good he was, in his prime.
Oh
Because
yeah.
the biggest thing is that we've had three of probably the top 10 best male tennis players in this era.
Mm,
So it's really difficult for people to win. Because if any of these guys were born in a less competitive era, I think they would have all won more championships.